Is the road to hell paved with good intentions? I'm really wondering about that a lot these days. It seemed like several years ago I'd get phone calls all the time, just three, four a day. And it was just for general chit chat, hey man, how you doing kind of stuff. I mean, it wasn't real worthwhile conversations, but it still existed. And then I started warning people about the economic collapse a couple years ago, friends and family. And my phone has been silent for nearly 2 weeks for personal calls. And it's making me really curious if people are seeing the messengers of this inevitable collapse as somehow the cause of the collapse itself. And or somehow that you're affiliated with it because they just don't want to talk to you. They don't want you to it's like they don't want you to tell them to prepare themselves to get ready for this thing. And I've given them very simple warnings to very elaborate warnings. And the simplest things I've told them is, look, it's a $12.3 trillion national debt. It's not going to go away. We're doomed. We will never repay it, and we're going to default on debt to these countries that we owe all this money to. Either that, or I'd say something like, look, even the mainstream media is saying the Social Security system is doomed. There's no way that this working class generation is going to be able to support all these baby boomers. It's going down, and you know it. So prepare yourselves. And other than that, I would give them warnings such as, the dollar is going to collapse because they're printing it like crazy. That's any idiot can see that with all these bailouts. But anyhow, it just seems like they want to kill the messenger. No matter how much I tell them to prepare, they just seems like they hate me more and more the more I do it. So anyhow, I'm curious if this is happening to anybody else, if their friends and family are walking away from them, or just maybe turning a blind eye and trying to avoid you because they don't want to hear what the truth and the reality of the situation is. I'm also curious of what your plan is when this thing comes to pass, when the economy or dollar collapses. Are you going to help these people? Are you going to help your friends and family? I've heard some people say, well, yeah, they are going to help their friends and family. But I'm kind of in an awkward situation. See, I have 5 children. My wife and I both and are here. And that's 7 people to feed. That's 7 people to take care of. And my children are pretty young. So I'm wondering what I'm going to do when all these people come and they say, hey, man, you're right all along. And now we need our stuff. Please, man, is there anything you can do? Can you help me? Please, I'm your best friend, or I'm your sibling, or your parents, or whatever. Are you going to help them? And the only thing I can come up with is that, yeah, I will help them, but only to a minute degree. I'm thinking of developing little care packages, maybe just a standard plastic grocery sack, filling it up with as much food as I possibly can, and tying the sucker off and saying, look, here's the deal. If you don't bother me anymore for more supplies or more food, you can have this. You can take this if you will leave me alone from this moment on. That's the only thing I can come up with, because as much of a jerk as it seems, the worst fear for any parent is for their child to be hurt or to starve to death. And I don't want my kids to face that if this collapse and this terrible economy lasts for decades on end, which I do believe it will. So what are you going to do about it? What are you going to do when all these people want to come and use your supplies to deplete your household or your storage or your food or clothing caches? What are you going to do? That's probably one of the toughest things I can think of happening, is thinking of the looks on my relatives' faces asking me for my supplies. And then I have to look over at my children, who at the moment would be well fed, and thinking of them looking like that within a month if I gave all these people my stuff. So anyway, I do believe that this economic collapse is going to leave us all with some terribly difficult decisions to make. And I'm really curious, and I seek advice and communication with other people on what their plans are in that situation. I appreciate it. Thank you.